Oh, what a day. What a week. Bitcoin came in at 50K yesterday. It dipped down to 48 today. Now it's at 49. What direction will this go? We found that the perfect day to have a TA stream. So today we're changing it up a little bit. David's got the day off, and we got a couple of our favorite TA analysts on deck as well. So today, if you're looking for the charts, you're looking for the alpha, you're looking to find out where's the direction of Bitcoin going? Well, look no further than today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's get into it. Hola! So, it's your boy, Big Rob. I figure where David's gone, I was going to warm up his desk, hang out here. So, quite comfy. Anyways, today we are joined by a couple of our close friends. We got Magic Internet Money and then also Army Piper. So welcome to the show, guys. I know you both independently been here, but wanted to get the two of you together on one panel today. A lot of volatility in Bitcoin. A couple narratives to kind of throw out there as far as Solana, XRP, maybe a little Ethereum, but how you guys doing?
I'm doing great, man. I keep running into Magic Internet Money on all these shows everywhere I go. So we're supposed to be like pen pals or something now. I don't know.
Oh yeah, yeah. We know each other pretty well now. I've been on your show now. So it's been good, man. It's good.
Yeah. So Bitcoin hit 50K yesterday. Obviously, there was all kinds of euphoria. X or Twitter was absolutely on fire, going crazy. And then lo and behold, today I woke up this morning and it was at 48,000. Now it wasn't there for quite too long. We're holding right at 49,000 right now. But what do you guys take away from all of this big price action? You think that we can jump right into charts if you guys want to, but what is the Bitcoin charts, or what's your sentiment on this market right now? Because it seems like there's uncertainty in the market. Are we just simply testing 50K and then rejecting down and trading back here at 48 or 49 for some time, or is this just one day away from getting back up to 50K?
No, I'll go ahead and speak on it real fast. This had nothing to do with the price of 50,000K on Bitcoin. This had to do with the fact that we had economic data come out this morning on inflation rates, and Jerome Powell still has a fight to go. That's why all of the markets are down today, and Bitcoin just playing its part in that whole slide down. But I was actually impressed with how quickly it gained support on its golden pocket. So hitting that 618 and bouncing back up from there gave me a lot of hope in where Bitcoin's currently sitting at right now. So still pretty bullish on it. So
okay. What about you, Magic? What's your takeaway? You think the broader markets are influencing the Bitcoin chart, or do you think that this was just a normal rejection from 50K? We hadn't been there in 2 years.
I think you got to probably look at it as a combination of a couple things. You're at resistance. We know where we're at on the chart. We all want to claim this level so that we can talk about, all-time highs again. But Piper's correct. There was a news event today, so a lot of people will sit those out. But they do move the markets. Sometimes there are trade setups that can be found in those. But in this instance, some news came out today, inflation data. It's not inherently all that bad, in my opinion. It doesn't really spell doom for anything, but it did kind of rock the market a little bit. But it is holding on to some key support, as you mentioned. And so for me, when I was talking about a new high, actually on your guys' channel, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, you asked me if I thought we'd hit 50K in a week. And I said, no. If you'd have said 2 weeks, you'd have been right. But I was saying at the end of February. So it's actually front running me a little bit that if we were going to get that move to 50, it was going to be the week of February 27th. So a little Valentine's Day pump, but technically my target's a little bit higher still. So I'm looking to see higher prices yet and then kind of play it by ear.
Yeah, I know a couple of weeks ago when I was beating the 50K drum, You know, for me, what I was looking at was the reversal trend of the ETFs, right?
Yep.
You had Grayscale with their massive dumping of Bitcoin, basically, you know, billions of dollars were leaving. I think they went from 25 billion down to 20, and you know, it was a massive amount of sell pressure going on to the market. Yeah, it doesn't hit the order books immediately, but at some point it trickles down. And that slowed down, and at the same time, we saw the net inflows from the larger ETF providers, BlackRock and Fidelity. They were speeding up, and the net inflows were gaining more and more. They're widening the gap, right? So we went from I think day one was net positive, but then after the first day is essentially a negative day printed every day on the net flows. But then after about a week, it had flipped. And so for me, I just thought, I'm like, this is an extremely bullish catalyst for the price of Bitcoin. And you know, it came a little sooner than you thought, but or came a little sooner. I was hoping it was going to come sooner than I thought, but you know what? Here it is. It was only the ETF's only been trading for over 3 weeks now. 3 weeks, 2 days of trading so far. And so we're seeing massive inflows. So accumulation in the right direction. Now, I do want to ask you guys to maybe take a look at a Bitcoin chart, and I'll start with you, Army, first. You know, the Bitcoin right now is sitting right at 49,000. So you could easily make a case for both directions here on Bitcoin. But what is your takeaway on the short and maybe midterm price action of Bitcoin, or any potential trade setups that you see on this?
Short to midterm. Well, let me get you a little shared screen here for you, and then we'll take a look at that. So right now, to give you, because you know we can go short to midterm, but a lot of times you got to look at this top down, right? You get to hone in on that target. So taking a look at where we're sitting right now in price. If I bring this up here, you'll see if I can get it to load. How about you loading for me? There you go. Perfect. This is a Fibonacci channel on Bitcoin going all the way back in the history here. And right now, we're sitting right in between the platinum pocket and the golden pocket. We're looking at weekly charts here, weekly candles here. But if I go ahead and bring up this little scenario here, you will see that we've got some boxes going on here. That's like we're in phase 3. And if you go back and look at previous cycles, when we have the phase 1 bottom here, we move into phase 2 and then to phase 3 above that golden pocket, we have not broken a candle close below that 0.66 here. For magic internet money psyche there, I'll say 0.65. But sitting right now, man, we're sitting pretty here in phase 3 right now, rejecting on the horizontal platinum pocket, just slightly above it right now. So right now, looking pretty bullish. But if we lose this 0.78 here on the Fibonacci platinum pocket here, I would be looking for us to come back down and test this 0.66 here. And ironically enough, where we are in the halving cycle, if I go ahead and turn that on, you will see that we've got this line over here. Where we at? Let's go back here. Show you the previous cycle here, and you'll see on this one that we've got this these pockets here that take place. Let me turn those on. There we go. Once we break above into that phase 3, we usually get a test here on the 0.66. And when we get that bounce there off of that, that normally leads into the run. But that's obviously after that halving event, right? Go back to the first cycle, which I think we're a lot more like this one here. We're into phase 3 early, just like it shows here. We got that nice test here on that golden pocket horizontal. Candle close on the weekly above that 0.66 and up it goes, right? So if we take a look at what we have on this cycle that we're in now, and we move this up here, you will see, and let me turn those back off again. You'll see that running into where we should be at on this line for the next halving here, we should be looking here, right here in the ballpark of about April. Mid-April, beginning of April, somewhere in here. So somewhere in this time period right here, we'll call it April 8th for the sake of simplicity here. We're into, if we get our rejection there and we come back off of this platinum pocket that we're on and hit this again, as a candle close on the weekly above that golden pocket, then we're set to do what we've always done and come up out of phase 3 on a parabolic run right after the halving. So short-term time frame, I would watch to see if we hold this platinum pocket at 786 here. But if we don't, then I'm looking for a retest coming all the way back down to 40,700 on that golden pocket, as per every cycle we've ever had. So and I'm sure that Magic can break down more of the 4-hour look. But when I look at this chart, it tells me that the levels that we need to hold currently $48,000, and if we don't hold that, then it would be absolutely in its normal history to repeat it and come down down to about 41K in that golden pocket range. So,
okay, 41K, man, that's it wasn't that long ago we were there, and it sounds like because of the euphoria getting into that 50K, yesterday, where we're at now, 41K seems such a far way down. But yeah, it wasn't that long ago. I think a little over a month ago we had 41,000. Little over I think it was earlier this month or 3 weeks ago we were at 42,000. So not that quite far fetched, man. But imagine you got some bullish news for me, man. I love some outlandish, extremely bullish takes, some high numbers. Are we gonna hit 60,000 or what, man? Oh, I think you're muted there, though.
I was muted. Yep, I was trying to be polite because I'm one of those people I grind my teeth and
Now,
stuff. So
I don't think that Bitcoin's gonna go to 60,000 within the next couple of weeks, but.
No, well, you never know, man. It could happen. There is some outlandish takes. We actually kind of talked about it on your guys' show. What's that? Oh, well, anyway, we talked about it a little bit beforehand. We talked about the potential of something like a melt up, and there are economists out there and traders like Bob Lucas is a big one. I've mentioned him before on your show. One of the first ones I ever followed, and I still follow on Twitter. But he does 4-year cycles, but he also does gold and other macro cycles. And he has been speaking about with Bitcoin potentially getting a left translated cycle, meaning we would get an early aggressive high, which not the best thing ever, but it could also turn into something like a super cycle. However, to me, as of right now, price is still kind of within the bounds of what we've been working with over the prior halving models. So I do have a couple charts I'll show you. More of the high time frame. This is actually something that we were looking at on your show a few weeks ago. And I said, if price is going to continue higher and get through and above this local high here, this is actually something I had laid out as an alternate plan to the original bat that had been rejected right here, almost right on time. It has a separate timing, which put us out to the end of February. So we're well within that range of when I was expecting it. The question is if I'll get that push up. Really looking, this is CME, by the way, really looking for it to come up and actually take this local high and fill in this untapped pivot. It's just something that I track personally. If you go to the spot price action, it does line up really, really nicely with what we're looking at in terms of looking for higher prices. And you can see that's right here at 52,217 up to about 53. The 2023 data that I like to use that I'm going to be projecting for most of 2024, well, I will be, is, right here. So when we look at it, you can see 47,047 was that key level that was given. You finally got above it. I'm going to get rid of the 2023 high for just a second. Finally got above it. And now we're aiming for the 4th standard deviation for 2024. I've back tested this year over year. These levels should pan out pretty well. You can actually take this same strategy and then kind of put it down into the low time frames even. So using January's data, you can see that this is where we're at here at the 3rd standard deviation. And there's a little bit of resistance here. Obviously, you're right in the gold pocket. So if I can get that completion up to 52, 53K, I will probably be looking at it for the opportunity to take a short. Does that mean I'm going to take that trade? Only if it presents itself. But that is working off of the same information that we've had. Now, if you flip this area right here, you really, you said 60K, you're not calling for that. But at that point, I think everyone and their dog would be. So you do have to kind of keep that on your radar. The only thing I would keep in mind is you do have a gold pocket just above here. So if for some reason we start clearing these highs, euphoria sets in, and you see a massive rejection where you give up this local high again around 52, in that instance, again, I would just be cautious, right? Just because going into the halving. So price doesn't often have to do the exact same thing, but it can catch people off guard. But for me, if you guys are in the market, longs are the name of the game. Like I've taken some shorts, I've timed them pretty well, but eventually price will come back and stop you out. So that's why you take profits on those and move on. So my longs are still paying, and until that stops happening, I'm really not married to any shorts just yet. I mean, this one was a good one, but price, like you said, the ETF inflows and I think it was GBTC selling subsided, and you nailed that one. So for me, I'm looking for about 52, 53K still, just based on this. Now, if we give up 47K, things start to look a little different. And I'll actually, he said the 4 hour, but when you're getting down into this, you could really go into the low time frames or the high time frames. For me, the high time frames are going to carry the most weight. So for anyone at home, like if you're wondering about continuation on an asset, for instance, just going to like a monthly chart here. Okay. You've got January's high, which was your ETF high right here, which you can see that, price is going to respect. You can see it's holding it as resistance. Now it's kind of chopping around it, right? So go back to the monthly. To me, giving up that ETF high really isn't all that crucial when I'm looking at the monthly chart. It doesn't really spell doom or anything. What would get me a little more bearish is if you actually came back to the 2023 high that was made in December and lost that at about 44.7. Then I start to kind of question things. If you were wanting an early sign of weakness in price, so for anyone that's actually intraday trading or maybe like swing trading, like on a weekly time frame or something, the previous week high would actually be a weekly open, excuse me, right here would actually be a pretty good area. That's one that we identified on Monday morning. We were looking for the weekly open essentially, and mark it on your chart. And the real reason being is when you go down to like the 1 hour here, you can see that is one where we're bouncing. So we're trying to keep that weekly trend going from high time frames to low time frames. If this is lost, you have your current weekly low. I would expect to take these lows, beneath this level at that point. What does that actually mean for price is then you're looking back at the previous session or last week's information. So we would then say, okay, this is also going to be right in line with, about that 2023 closure at 47K. When you line them up, they're pretty close to each other right here. You get a little area. So it is in Bitcoin's best interest in the immediate to hold that weekly open. Otherwise, next opportunity is right around 47K, and anything beneath that, I start targeting kind of like Army was saying, much lower. But you can see 43K actually is the naked point of control from last week that I would be looking towards immediately. But after that, 41,009 is the second standard deviation. So I would look at this as a failure and potentially rotating all the way back to that. So we have similar outlooks. We've just gotten there in different manners. But for me, it's all based on session data. And the session data says weekly open is key. If lost, the next trade is going to be like your current weekly low on an SFP into this support right here that's, attempting to be flipped. So yeah, I mean, bullish takes. Yeah, why not? I mean, I'm currently long from the weekly open. I mean, this is one of the few times you'll see me buying up in this region of the chart. Is it a day trade? Yes, but I'm going to probably leave 20% of it to see if I can't either make a new high or take it up to these other targets before getting stopped out.
I like that you mentioned the thesis of a higher all-time high coming a lot earlier. I do think that is something that I've been trying. That is an idea that I'm expanding upon. And in looking in the previous cycles, what we've seen is after the halving, what we've had in the past was that there was essentially a supply crunch, and price of Bitcoin. A lot of times what people dismiss is that it represents the cost of energy mined. Also, is a big piece of the puzzle. Yeah, Bitcoin's price is set by what people are willing to pay for it, but you know what? The person that's, the people that are selling it are the miners, and they are also covering costs. So if their supply gets cut in half, then essentially in some way, shape, or form are going to charge more. Now, how do they charge more? Well, maybe they wait it out and they wait for the demand to get even that much more, the demand pressure just to get that much more intense, and then sell, You know, a lot of times the miners don't immediately sell everything that they mine. Sometimes they know that the market, they look forward and they're like, hey, we can sit on this for a little bit. We know the cycle. And so what we've seen in the past is post-halving, the supply crunch has affected the price. And what I think we're seeing now is with the ETF is that there's a massive amount of demand for Bitcoin right now. And I think that looking forward to the halving now, there's an obvious dilemma here. You're going from 900 Bitcoin mined a day down to 450, and we have net inflows of damn near. We had net inflows on Friday of last week and Monday. Those 2 days together combined were over $1 billion of net positive inflows. That's $1 billion worth of Bitcoin that need to be scooped up. And so if the grayscale selling subsides even more so to almost to a trickle, and we have this euphoric event in Wall Street, then there's going to be no way, shape, or form can we look forward and say, hey, with 450 Bitcoin getting mined a day, we're going to have enough supply to cover the demand for the ETF. So I do think that the supply demand issues that we're going to see are going to play out before the halving. And so that's why I think that within the next 2 months, we will cross new all-time highs. Whether it happens, whether we get to 60K in a week, probably not. Will we get to 60K by the end of the month? I do adamantly believe that. Now, I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors here. So first, we got Cam's Blue Wire Tech. So for all of your IT and networking solutions, cybersecurity, Cam's Blue Wire Tech is our partner when it comes to our internet infrastructure. And go visit bluewiretech.com. Also, link in the description. Then I'm not doing the TA today, but David does. So normally he uses our Lex Algo indicator. So just want to give a big shout out to Lex Algo. If you guys are trading with TradingView and you're looking for some of the indicators, we have a link linked into the top of the description. Also, in the live chat, it's at the top. It's in the description. You also get 20% off for signing up with our code as well. So just follow the link and support the channel. Now, today's theme of the show, or at least the thumbnail, was move over Ethereum. Solana is here. Solana, we saw some massive price action lately. I saw Solana last night at $115. And there's a lot of things going on in the ecosystem. There's a lot of buzz going on. You got Solana hits 100K pre-orders for their second mobile device. That's 5 times larger than the original production line in its entirety. So the Solana ecosystem has spoken. They want their airdrops, and so they're asking for their pre-orders. This isn't set to go to live until next year, so it's going to be quite some time before this hits the market, but it just shows you the market sentiment. Also, we have Solana hitting some pretty strong gains, as I mentioned yesterday. Yeah, you can pull that up, Rocco. So the gains, Bitcoin metrics suggest low retail growth. However, Solana has been bucking the trend. And so I want to get your guys' perspective here on both Ethereum and also Solana. And, whether it's a chart, whether it's sentiment, whether it's your own personal bags, what are you most excited about when it comes to either of these projects? If you kind of had to lean one direction, we have the ETF. I'm pretty bullish on Ethereum. This is spot ETH ETF coming around the corner. That is, I think, going to be a major catalyst. You're not going to get the downside pressure from grayscale that we saw in Bitcoin ETF, but you're going to get all of the upside liquidity. I will caveat that by saying that there is a grayscale trust for Ethereum, but it pales in comparison to the market cap size of the Bitcoin one that we just had. Now, I'll send it over to Army first. Is there anything that stands out at this moment, when it comes to Solana versus Ethereum, if you kind of had to lean a direction, you had your recent outage on Solana, but you know what? The people have spoken with their wallets. This one of the strongest performing altcoins this entire year and in the last 12 months. And so Ethereum has never disappointed from one market cycle to the other, and feel like ETH's about to pop off too. So what do you think? And then I think I got you muted there.
I was muted. You are correct. I was trying to be, magic internet money polite. So I think if you got into Solana when everyone said it was dead, you are a superstar right now. But at the end of the day, I mean, Solana's solid. I mean, it had a down day there for first time in a year for about 6 hours, I believe it was. But I think it's still looking really strong on the charts and everything. But the one thing that I will give to Ethereum is that, we just had another major institution file the paperwork this morning for a spot Ethereum ETF. So we've got that whole thing coming. And when you talk about supply shock, 21 million token cap with supply shock is a big thing. But a lot of people buying Ethereum on its upgrade creates burning. And when you get into that burn cycle of Ethereum, the price on Ethereum could go absolutely parabolic this cycle with that ETF boost of just because of the movement of I'm buying and selling Ethereum. That creates a burn cycle, and that burn cycle creates deflationary cost, deflationary tokenization. So it's going to go up. I don't know that it has to be an either or. It needs to be a both, in my opinion. If you've got Ethereum, you should have Solana. If you've got Solana, you probably should have Ethereum. So,
I think you mentioned something that's easily overlooked is Ethereum becoming deflationary. There has been several windows of this latest Ethereum upgrade where we've seen Ethereum become highly deflationary. And it's really all dependent on its transaction volumes and throughput. And so as more and more transactions come through the network, the incentive for the miners and also for the chain itself to become deflationary increases. And so what would this ecosystem look like if there is an ETF? Obviously, the ETFs are not going to be traded in real time on the ETH network. However, just the sheer volume of Ethereum moving from traditional exchanges over to these large ETF providers who are probably also going to move around the Ethereum in some way, shape, or form. Who knows? Maybe they do some kind of staking. I know we've discussed that in the past. I don't find it very likely that the ETF providers would do any kind of staking. I feel like it would go against some of the rules that the SEC would implement. However, I adamantly believe that the Ethereum ecosystem will get a ton of transactions, ton of utility, tons of dApps. It already is king of DeFi, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this back at the top, over $10,000 Ethereum in the next year. I think that is on the table. I know a lot of people laugh at that, but I think deflationary plus the fact that it's the gold standard for NFTs, go to DeFi, go to smart contract. Until somebody knocks them off of that pole, at the top of that hill, then I don't write them off for a second. And going into a bull market, it's one of my favorites. Also, they got the nod from the SEC for the most part, right? Magic.
Sure.
What do you feel when it comes to ETH or Solana? Is there one that you really are in love with, or you just kind of look at them both equally as potentials to pop off?
I don't ever love anything in terms of investment, but I am an Ethereum holder. I've been a long-term bag holder of Ethereum. I started getting long on that one, sub 1400. So got a pretty decent sized position. I did sleep on Solana in that regard. I caught some of the move up with some longs. And, I've longed it 2 or 3 times since it really took off, but I haven't sat there and just held it, which would have really paid off quite nicely. So for Solana, that's a coin that I am finding myself liking to trade more. There was recently a trade setup. I do have some targets above us still that trade setup lines up really nicely with. So that was a long that I had given both publicly and in, like in Discord with like the people that I trade with. And Solana is just a very bullish chart right now. There's really no sign of weakness in terms of its uptrend right now. And Ethereum is kind of looked at as the lagging, I guess, big cap, but things are getting interesting for it as well. So, and what I like about Ethereum actually starting to move a little bit is it generally bodes well for the rest of the altcoins, historically anyway. So for me, I'm looking at that positively, and I treat Ethereum a lot like I treat Bitcoin. Once I'm in that position, I'm going to hold that for quite some time. I'm hoping to hold that for, unless it's a really quick cycle, but a couple years. So Ethereum, I'm investing in. Solana, I'm more of a trading mindset, and it's nothing personal to Solana. I don't know enough about their ecosystem to validate it and say that it's here to stay in terms of, past the hype cycle. Is it going to be here? But Ethereum, I feel like will be. Now that could all change one day. Open to that, but Solana has certainly surprised me because I think I was on your show when it was dumping down to like $8, and you guys asked me if I was going to buy any. I said no, and I didn't. So a little bit of a regret there, but it's one of those things where, hindsight's 2020. So yeah, that's my take on it. Invested in Ethereum, not so much in Solana, but I will trade it and I will take longs on it.
Okay. Yeah, I remember David actually got a position on Solana sub $20, and I stood on the sidelines, but I mean FTX was blowing up. Scam coin, Sam coin, whatever it was.
You had asked about narratives for this cycle, and you were talking about the halving earlier. Everyone's expecting a dip before the halving, including myself. That mindset really hasn't changed until the chart changes it for me. But one thing to note is that when you get these bull runs, much like 2020, a lot of people were still looking for much lower. I remember seeing that sentiment on Twitter. People were looking for a dip to get in. And when they were given a dip, it wasn't enough. They couldn't justify a position, even though it was like a 20 or 30% drop. You're seeing very similar activity right now. So it does make me wonder if, the narrative of everyone's sidelined and they're going to be left out is going to hold true again, because that did happen a lot in 2020. A lot of people sat out most of 2020 and really didn't get involved until Bitcoin was basically above all-time high again. So I do wonder what that's going to look like again this cycle. They say human behavior really doesn't change. So I do think that a lot of people are sitting these things out, waiting for lower prices that just have not come. So
yeah, I mean, that's just
it is what it is there.
The psychology of a trader. It was the same. It was the same on the way up last bull market, where everyone was saying, "Hey, we're going to get to 100,000, 120,000, 125,000, whatever it was," and we just never got there, right? And it was just people. The masses were holding out. The smart money had already positioned themselves and were in massive profit anyways, and they just used this euphoric mindset from the typical investor in retail, and just use them as exit liquidity. And people have an average buy position at over 40K and held. And there's a lot of people that just held all the way through the bear market. But you know what? If you had a crappy buy and you held through, you know what? You're sitting pretty confident now. I do want to, unless you guys have anything else you want to expand on, I did want to shift.
I do want to touch on that point right there real fast. You were talking about even if you bought a crappy position, if you had bought the top of Bitcoin at $69,000 and continued to DCA every week since then to now, you'd be up like over 40%. It's pretty insane how much you would be up even buying the top. So you don't always have to catch the bottoms. It's just you got to be persistent and consistent in your strategy of accumulation. So I just want to point that out to people. A lot of people don't realize that. So.
Yeah, I mean, just the standard DCA, at least on Bitcoin, I'd be hesitant to go further down the list, but DCA on Bitcoin will pretty much in the long term will pay off. I just I would be hesitant even with these layer ones, even the ones that you're the most excited about. There's not a lot of confidence that the majority of them will be here. I'll put it that way. And I think that
Magic, you still sitting on dry powder?
I've got some. Yeah.
Like when do you plan to deploy it all? Because that's where I'm sitting at right now. Is I've got some dry powder. I'm probably about 80% in right now, but I'm like, do I settle this dry powder all the way to where I'm buying the top again after the halving? Like, I buy in like spring, early summer of the repeat of 2021 before it dumps 30%. Like I should have held it, So what are you doing with yours? I'm just curious.
So my strategy is a little different. If you recall from most of 2021 and 2022, I spent that majority time short. And when I was short in those positions all the way till about the end of 2023, I trade inverse perpetual. So as soon as I close those positions as hedges, it puts me right back in Bitcoin or whatever asset I'm in. So for me, I'm in spot basically with a very large portion of my, worth, I guess, or trading capital, if you want to put it that way. I don't apply a ton of leverage to this stuff. So when I say I have dry powder, it's specifically for spot. I was hoping to get closer to like 35 to 36K this last time around. And I would have started really deploying. So now I'm kind of reevaluating on, okay, we're getting a secondary high. What's this high going to look like? Am I going to get an opportunity to put forth another hedge that will be profitable again? Or, am I going to have to bite the bullet and just sit on that money? So for me, I'm okay with not deploying all my capital. I'm a firm believer that you should never be all in a market. I'm not saying that you are with that. You've got your money divvied up, but to me, it doesn't bother me if I don't get to deploy the rest of my capital into Bitcoin at the price that I want to. There will be another opportunity available at some point where I'll be like, okay, this is a good time. So I'm just going to be patient and see what comes of our test here of 50K and 52K. And kind of sit on it. If I can get a pullback out of that, sure. I mean, I'll start looking at my options.
We are going into a bull market, and so it's always very interesting. Like, how do you use capital going into a bull market? It's very easy to identify your favorite projects all on discount during a bear market. But if someone were to ask me and say September 2021 when Bitcoin's floating around 50K. Like what should I buy? First of all, you shouldn't be asking me for advice. But anyways, you guys get that all the time. On a side note, people know you're in crypto
all the time,
and they're just like, they just want you to tell them a token and what to spend their money on. I'm like, stop it. But
I don't tell people I'm in crypto ever. Like, okay. Never.
I got a lot.
Like my friends don't watch my YouTube. I don't even tell them about it. A lot of people don't even know who I am in real life. I keep that a secret.
They'll show up one day.
So yeah, I would just, I find it would be very difficult. Even if I could get in the time machine, knowing what I know now, I think it'd be very difficult for me to deploy capital that doesn't involve longing and short. Just say spot buying, like swing trading. Sure. Like, where would I put money in 2021? You know what I mean? With Bitcoin is saying at 55,000. Like, yes, you could sit here and be like, well, I'll time the top. But like, outside of that one scenario, I'd find it very difficult. So,
I think a really interesting way to look at it is rotations, not to interrupt you, but you could start looking at Bitcoin dominance and, Ethereum Bitcoin pairings and start saying, okay, when is the rotation into altcoins coming? So I've got this capital. I don't know what to do with it. Bitcoin's going to the moon. Well, eventually there's a rotation. If you're patient enough, you can start looking for that on the chart and saying, okay, I can take some of this and rotate it into altcoins as they're seeing strength in the market. We just haven't seen that in a while. I have a Bitcoin dominance chart. I'll show you. I've been watching this for well over a year. We put this together in one of our chart builds at one point, and I have not adjusted it since. So it's been one of those things where this has been my Bitcoin dominance chart. And that's what I'm looking at still. So out on the monthly time frame, these are the levels that I've been eyeballing since basically a key weekly low that came in back in April of 2023. So these are predetermined boxes of support and resistance I wanted to see hold. We obviously held the key weekly low. We've come up to resistance. We're now flipping that like on a monthly time frame. So I really don't see any reason why we wouldn't cycle this range essentially. all the way back to at least the 50% at 56 and 60 and 61. So if someone's sitting on dry powder, sure, what Army said is actually very true. You can't trade all of your capital. You do have to have some that's just long-term risk-off investment. A large majority of my money is long-term investments where it's like I buy and I hold through cycles. That's why I hedge when I think that a market top might be in. I start hedging to protect myself from downside risk. But that said, a good thing to do is start looking at this chart and going, okay, what's going on with Bitcoin dominance? What is Ethereum doing? Is Ethereum showing strength against Bitcoin? Is Bitcoin dominance hitting some form of resistance? Can I start looking into some of these, medium caps or like, big caps, medium caps? Some people are like low caps. I'm not a low cap guy. Other people are, but then you can start taking a little more risk with it. And again, you don't need any leverage for that type of play. Those altcoins will, when they moon pretty hard. So you don't need a ton of it. Like one of the ones that I'm doing right now is obviously Link, right? Link is one of my biggest holdings. I was its cheerleader on the way down, about sub $11. I was like, okay, it's time to start buying Link down in this range. Didn't quite nail the exact bottom. I think I said 582 is what I had. And it's, pretty close. So DCA'd into a position here and had to hold it a long time. And I got asked a million times if I'm still in Link. And I just said, I've allocated all the money I'm going to allocate to Link. And what happens from here, right? And obviously it's got a massive breakout. Now, another one to talk about is you mentioned XRP earlier. I can't remember if it's in this chart or if it's in a different folder. Yeah,
real quick, some XRP news here, just to give you a little context. You had XRP has bought up a money management and crypto. Okay, so yeah, XRP acquires a standard custody to strengthen a regulatory license portfolio. So they've been applying for these transmitter licenses, money transmitter licenses. Basically, let you offer financial services as far as moving money around. Think of these check cashing places that let you send money orders. Those are all money transmitter. The Ripple has been applying for those in all 50 states. But they're waiting for final approval from the New York Department of Financial Services, and this acquisition enables them enables customers to maintain custody with Ripple instead of relying on external partners. So Ripple was using third parties, other custodians to custody customer assets. And so for this acquisition here, it broadens their capabilities. We've seen a slowing of big partnership news coming out of the XRP camp and the Ripple camp. But I adamantly believe once this court case settles, and it looks like everything is pointing to a settlement this year, and when that does drop, if it's in XRP's favor, which it sounds like it will be, this thing is gonna take off, man. That's my sentiment. I'll send it back to you on the charts there. Just a little preface to XRP.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of XRP and Link, these are two very popular coins in terms of like following. So it's pretty good camps there in terms of like show, in terms of support or hate in some cases. More so for XRP, people kind of giving them a lot of flack these days. But this is a Link XRP comparison. So you're basically measuring the strength of Link versus XRP, right? So you can see I had put this out right around here that I said that, whether you like XRP or you like Link, you really can't deny what you're looking at in terms of the chart, and that it looks like Link is basically bottomed against XRP. And if I was going to hold one of the two, I'd much rather be in Link, right? And you can see that since then it has ran very, very hard, all the way back to its 2022 high, which is the only level that's been on that chart. It's on my Twitter. You guys can go back and see the timestamps, all that stuff. So this is a big level. You've got Link here hitting this against XRP, but you've also got macro resistance for Link as well, right around $20. If it flips that, I would expect it to run to this box, right? If we can get above $20 on Link, I'm expecting it to continue up into this box, the gold pockets here, plus some high time frame range horizontals. I would be looking then to potentially rotate into XRP if there is a rejection here and the markets are fitting. XRP is known for moving last, right? So when you look at XRP's chart, it doesn't look, if you're out on the high time frames, it's not quite as bad as people, kind of say it is. When we're looking at a quarterly chart here specifically, the quarter one low from 2021 was a pretty important low on almost every chart inside of cryptocurrency. The main reason being is that was after the all-time high for Bitcoin, and most assets bottomed out pretty hard right here in that first quarter of 2022. Excuse me, I said 21 earlier, but 2022, including Bitcoin at like 32K, bounced all the way back to 48K, right? You can see it was resistance basically this entire time. You finally closed a quarterly candle back above it because we're on a quarterly chart. Now you're looking to see, after a back test of the last settle up, if you can actually hold this area right around 54.61 cents. Now, quarterly candle won't close till the end of March, so there is time for that to take place. So being fairly neutral on this one is what I would be. Link definitely has potential to outperform it going forward, even though it's at resistance. So I'm not adding any Link to my positions at this time. If there's a pullback, I might consider it. But, XRP looks like it could be setting up for promise if, things start to line up where the Link XRP chart might start reversing. XRP might start showing a little bit of strength and confirming that this is a change of behavior. And then we can start looking at, where do targets go from there? And I'm rotating into it, maybe just for a quick gain, and you don't have to sell your Link necessarily to get XRP. But if you have some of that dry powder that we were just talking about, like, what do you do with it? Well, this might be a play that you'd be interested in that case, right? It might just be a short-term play. You might be one of those people that doesn't want to ever be a long-term holder of XRP, which historically is not a great idea. But for short-term pumps, it's been, a pretty nice token. So that's what I'm watching on the high timeframes for XRP. I think it's a really interesting chart. I will say, if you give up this like 47-cent level, it is a pretty big area on the chart, both from a horizontal level, but also just from like an overall volume and TPO standard, right? This is your TPO, time point of control, and the time value area low. So essentially how much time has been spent in these areas, working it a little different than you would if you were day trading like off of order flow, not necessarily using it in the same manner. That's a completely different process for anyone that's familiar. But in this instance, it's just a very large level that if lost, I'd probably expect to see 29 cents, maybe lower over time. So you do want to see it recovering 54 cents, living above there on the monthly, the quarterly, and then we can start looking at targets of maybe we're coming back up to back test some of these levels. And take profits or do whatever you see fit. And I think that this is going to be a big indicator right here, because Link, it moved early. Link's an early mover, whereas XRP is a late mover. So comparing the two, whether you're a community member or not, is actually not a bad idea. I'm done with the spiel.
Cool. So you don't think that with the trading pair Chainlink versus XRP, that if it were to, at that point of resistance that it's at now, you don't think that it could retrace?
It could reverse,
could rally.
Yeah, it very well could from here. That's why I said with Link, it is at resistance at that $20 mark. For me, that's at a point where I'm not going to be adding any Link to, if I have dry capital, right? I am going to be looking at other opportunities, and this one's just on my radar. I haven't pulled the trigger on anything yet, but if it started showing strength and this started showing weakness in terms of, the Link XRP comparison, I'm not ashamed to say I'd buy XRP and trade it, It's going to get the communities excited. XRP community, you know how they are. As soon as they get a little price action, they get pretty excited. But
I like how
the coin trades very, very well.
Like how you said that XRP moves last. It's definitely, I know it's going to move. I'm looking at it at 50 cents, and I know a breakout is coming. Is the breakout? Do we have to wait? Is the breakout waiting for the news of this SEC lawsuit?
There's a lot of people that just view it as a giant pennant, to keep it very simple. People are looking at it like so, or however they want to draw it. You connect the lines a million different ways on a lot of these assets, but they're just drawing a pennant. And they're saying that when this breaks, it's just going to all depend on which way it breaks, right? You can see that you are coming into a consolidation here. So if it starts breaking to the upside, I'd be aware of, one, the trend line, but two, it might be a pretty volatile move. It may be something you don't want to fade, at least right away. So just bear that in mind, just from a traditional, like, We don't need to do anything fancy. This thing is coming to an apex. It's kind of a boring coin right now, but I think it's going to get very not boring in the near future, whether that's to the upside or the downside.
All right. Army, what's your vibe on XRP or even Chainlink? I mean, what you got? I
So
see you got the hat on.
I got
So.
a little tool that I use here, and it basically it gives you this this moving hour average here, powerful moving average thing that we have here on this tool. But anytime you're below it, you're considered to be bearish, and anytime you're above it, it's considered to be bullish. But when I take a look here at the screener on this, look what else is in the list as bearish, along with XRP here at the top. Sandbox, pretty much a dying project in the gaming world. EOS, dead project. XLM, in line. I'm more bullish on XLM than I am XRP. But Litecoin. These are all on the 3-day chart below the this reactor. And so when you look at the bullishness that's coming here off of everything else, you can look at this and go, I'm not going to touch that. But this tells me where I might want to go peek a look at, because they haven't popped off yet, right in line with what Magic was saying. Yes, they should be above this right now. Price action has moved. But when you see these bearish indicators pop on like this, and there's just a few of them, you might want to go dig into those projects and see if you're at current support. And if you are, that might be your opportunity to get into those before they move and put themselves in that bullish stance above that reactor like the rest of the assets have out there. So, not a huge. I actually, for transparency's sake, sold all of my XRP about 2 months ago. Did pretty well on it, moving it over into Solana and Chainlink and a couple of other things. But our Stacks was one of them, which is actually up 8.2% today. It's crazy when everything else is red. But yeah, looking at it from the perspective that Magic was talking about, where it's a late mover, definitely is sitting here, giving us all the indication in the world that it could be, or should be at least, one of the next ones to go, because I wouldn't call it a dead project in comparison to like EOS and Sandbox. But when I look at this list, it definitely has not performed with the rest of the assets. It might be its time. So,
all right. Yeah. So with Bitcoin going up, hitting 50K, coming back down to 48, I almost feel like we're due for a little bit more of a consolidation within the next, I'd say, 10 days or so. I feel like if we do break over 50K, it might take a little time, right? You might have to go up there and test that thing out a few times. Which for me, it just spells altcoins, right? When you move up to a new price range and you consolidate, well, you see the altcoins lag behind and then usually pop off, especially getting into the price that we're at now. So I want to ask you two gentlemen here, is there one altcoin setup that you've identified or something, or is there basically throwing you a little wild card here on the altcoins when it comes to the charts? Is there anything? I know Army mentioned Stacks. That's been one of my favorite plays. I've been beating the Stacks drum all year. I'm like, hey man, this Bitcoin ETF, it's basically a leveraged Bitcoin, right? You get more upside, more downside when Bitcoin's price moves on Stacks. But going into a bull market, I think that's pretty strong. Also, I like Beam too. Beam has been moving. Solana ecosystem, everything in that damn ecosystem is rallying. But I'll send it to you guys over for one last TA play. I'll send it to Magic first, and then I'll go to Army second. Is there anything on the ecosystem? It can be traditional finance if you want. Is there anything that you're spotted out? And yeah, I think you're muted as well. Muted, brother.
I know, boomer moment. That's me, like 9 times out of 10. Rose is one that we recently built. So I like to build charts from scratch a lot, especially for the members in the group. They'll ask and request things. And so like the next one's going to be Mina Protocol, for instance. So Rose, specifically what I'm looking for is high time frame analysis. And then I'm looking for a trade setup, like you just said. So looking at this again, going back to the well of the Q1 low from 2022, which you can see right here at 18 cents. You do have a very specific setup. You're trending above your yearly pivot. You're coming up back towards the 2024 open with a fresh 2023 high that I think will likely be taken, assuming, Bitcoin behaves and goes sideways like we just kind of talked about. So For me, Rose has all the hallmarks of potentially running a nice harmonic. Okay, so looking for a crab, which is a Scott Carney. If you go to his website, harmonictrader.com, these are just Fibonacci convergences. Looking for this to run its course up into this region and get the 1618 and 2618 expansion right here for this final leg up and into resistance. And I would be looking at that as an opportunity for potentially a short. If someone was long in this region or they were long from down here, it's just a take profit area. For me, I have picked some of Rose up. So I am, I'm in profits for now, but that could change any day. But for me, looking to take this one up and then potentially get a short back down into the, what is this? Right around the 11 to probably, I would say, 11 to 13 cent region after that, So that's the trade I'm looking for right now in terms of like altcoins that's kind of like fresh on my mind. As the other ones have already hit their targets and are just kind of playing out, like Solana. Link, for instance, is hitting resistance. The only trade there really for me is a short. And that's not a very popular opinion on a coin that consolidated that long and is now breaking out the way it is. So yeah, Rose looking to take it up to 16 to 18 cents and then maybe back down.
I know you're a chart guy, but Valentine's Day is tomorrow, man. You telling me it is an absolute coincidence that your pick is Rose or Roses the day before Valentine's Day, and you're putting in a long position? Get out of here.
Let me break something down for you. Valentine's Day is tomorrow, guys. Okay, so some advice. I'm 35, had a lot of successful relationships. You can buy your girl 2 flowers from a florist tomorrow for $5, or you could go to Costco and get her a rotisserie chicken. The choice is yours. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Sorry, Magic. That's rock right here. I think you should hang out with Dave.
Yeah,
because he goes to chicken, huh? He goes to the Walgreens for the get-go destination.
See, here, I actually, I see your reasoning. I see what you're doing with the chicken, right? But my thing is if you're gonna do the chicken, at least make a chicken for your lady. All you gotta do is preheat the oven for 375. Rub some oil on that chicken. Throw it on the pan. Some seasoning on the outside. There you go, man. Make your lady dinner or go buy her something expensive. One of the two.
Rob, you just dropped the Fibonacci on the roasted chicken.
I dropped the Fibonacci on the roasted chicken. Okay. So, Army, what do you got? You got a box of chocolates on there on the chart or what?
I got chocolates. That's my next year. No, I do want to address Rose. I actually picked up Rose at the double bottom. So Oasis Network, one of my long shot calls. So I'm glad to hear that that Magic is bullish on that, bro. Because everyone I show it to, they're like, "What the hell is that token?" I'm like, "Oasis Network. It's Rose. No one's ever heard of it." So you're the first person besides me that I've seen to have a move on it right now. So
yeah, awesome. Love to hear it.
All right, let's take a look at what I'm looking here. This is for my alumni, Got them looking at Caspa. That's what we've been digging in on hard. And I think Caspa is going to be one of the face melters this cycle. So looking what we have here, I've got a long-term fib-based trend extension going on here for it. And you can see that if I go back here in the daily chart, let's drop this down, isolate just this top chart off. I actually had my community getting in off of this trend line down here at about 4.5 cents back in October of last year. So we've done really well on this run. I did call that it was going to be likely coming back to hit like in the 11.2 range. Actually broke down one level of the golden pocket below that. So this is the 4.618 at about 9.6 cents here. Touched on that reactor that I was talking about earlier and then popped up. And what I'm watching for right now is we've got this previous resistance range here, which is the phase 7 golden pocket here at 7.618. I'm watching that to be holding on for its next target again. But I do think that it's going to come back here and touch on this 6.618 right here, getting this bounce at this level. And then I got a long set in my community for that also. If you take a look at what we have going here, you can see on our oscillator that we're starting to get this curvature on the ribbon. And this tells me that we still have some downside. It's still a downward ribbon, but it's going to put us right in line with hitting that, catching on that predictive range there, catching on that phase 6 golden pocket, and then give us that long up to that move up there. So I am watching for that right now, but really bullish on Caspa for this entire bull run, man. So,
all right, big Caspa fan. I am very curious to see how Caspa lines up this market cycle. Still a pretty new token. So what is price discovery going to look like for this thing? How high can it rally? A lot of people do say shares a lot of the same characteristics as Bitcoin in the early cycles. So I don't know. We'll see. That's gonna be
one of my.
Go ahead.
One of my team members in the Piper Academy, Crux of Crypto, actually just did a deep dive on BlockDAG. What is BlockDAG? Why is Caspa really bullish? And so we've got a video coming out on that here, not too far off in the future. He's recorded it. I got to get all the editing done, but I'm really bullish on what the framework of Caspa is with BlockDAG technology. So it's pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, I think we also did a video about a month ago, kind of giving a little breakdown on there as well. So go check that out as well. Guys, I was gonna give one last shout out to our channel sponsor, Canvas Blue Wire Tech. They're the ones that bring us this beautiful 4K live stream. See all the details. Y'all been making fun of my hair earlier, saying I look like I've been drinking. Thank you guys, appreciate it. It's all brought to you in 4K. Thanks, and also. I do want to give a big shout out to you guys for joining us and helping us have a more of a TA focused day today. So I know there's a lot of indecision in the market, so I still feel unsure about where I'm gonna go putting my money into this week. I don't know, man. I got some money on the side, and I'm just trying to figure out, and I want to put in a trade too. I got my DCA, but.
What you do is you just give that crypto that you want to buy as a gift for Valentine's Day. That's what every woman wants.
That is that and the chicken, right? Yeah.
Facts. Give her a rose. Say, I got you roses. And when she goes, where are they? And gets all excited, you can hand her a ledger and go, happy Valentine's Day.
I saw Alex O say, I'm going to give her my soul. And I spelled it SOL, like Solana, for Valentine's Day. That's pretty good.
That's,
shout out to Alex O.
You got your soulmates, So there you go. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna wrap it up. I don't really know what the wrap up thing is. What is it? A finger tornado? What is he?
We can skip there. We can go straight to the to the end.
Well, guys, so thanks for joining us. Shout out to Lex Algo again, and go check out our show tomorrow. That'll be 2 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So check us out. See you tomorrow, guys.
Ciao. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
Sin City Crypto. Cassius Cuvée. Yeah. Sin City Crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Named according to your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners don't play to win. Screaming over till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.
Yeah, the portfolio, we're going to do it tomorrow, I guess.